Hi there, I'm Cheryl, and we're going to do some watercolor effects. I'm using the To a Wild Rose stamp from Stampin' Up. And then we have this nice gold border here, and that is from the Spellbinders A2 Valient Honor die set. And it's this big, it's the big one. Fits perfectly on a 5.5 by 4.25 card. So here's the stamp set. Very pretty, and it's got a lot of nice sentiments on it. So our card is 5.5 by 4.25, so we need a card base cut to 8.5 by 5.5, and then scored and folded at 4.25. I have a piece of this is watercolor paper, and that's going to go on the front, and I've cut it bigger than we need it. I cut it to 5.25 by 4, and that's going to get cut down after we do our watercoloring on it. So it's going to get cut down to 4.75 by 3.5. And then I have just plain Whisper White cardstock. This will be for the inside of our card, and we're going to be doing some embossing on here as well as the front. And that piece is 3.75 by 5. So I'll put that, I'll keep that with the watercolor paper, because the first thing we're going to have to do is emboss. And then I have this beautiful piece of gold foil cardstock. This is Mirricard, and I get this from a place, it's MarcoPapers.com. And it's just gorgeous. You can see it's very reflective. You can see my camera in the reflection. So it's just like a mirror. So that can go with our dies that we'll be using. So let's get, oh, there's more stuff. I have more stuff to show you that we're going to use. We're going to use a corner rounder. I have some paper towels. I have my Aqua Painter. And, oh, I need a little jar full of water. I always like to have, even though I'm using my water brush like this, I'd like to have a little thing of water to really swish out the bristles between colors. Let me bring all this stuff in here. This is our embossing things. So we'll need our Versamark ink and our Embossing Buddy. I have a little spoon here to scoop my embossing powder, which I don't think I'll need, because you'll notice I have mine in a funny jar. I think I got capers in it and saved it, but I had my embossing powders in a plastic container, and you'll see a lot of people have their embossing powders in a plastic container, and I found that it's just a pain in the butt and it takes up too much room. And so I've gone back to, if I ever use all this up, I'll go back to just keeping it in its original container and using a piece of scrap paper. So I have my scrap paper, I've got all my things, and I have a brush that's got fairly stiff bristles, and it's very small, and I have that in case I need to brush off any little bits of embossing powder that goes astray. I have my Stamparatus. I'll be using that to stamp the sentiment for the inside of the card. And I have my stamp already lined up here. I believe it's correct. Let me give that a quick check. And yes, it looks good. I have it just slightly over to the right hand side here because I'm going to have more of my leaves on this side and then less leaves on this side, so I needed a little bit more room over here. But I used the grid on here to line it up so it's nice and straight. So, since we have it in here and in the thing, let's start with that. So I'm going to do the sentiment first. I'll stamp that with my Versamark ink. Oh, I should use my Embossing Buddy. Don't forget the Embossing Buddy. What a mess that would make if I didn't use this. Okay, so there we go. All nice and powdered up. Let me ink that again. And then we will stamp that. I didn't tell you what inks we're going to use either, did I? Oh, I'm so bad. Oh, well. Now, I can't really see where I made that, but I'm just going to guess. I'm going to guess and try to stamp my leaves right now. Let me see if I can turn it in the light a little bit and see where it is. Okay, I can see where that is. And stamp that leaf right there. And give it a couple seconds to transfer onto the paper. Ink that up again, and let's see. And this one is going to be kind of more sideways like this. Alright, now I need to get my paper in here. My scrap paper. And just sprinkle on my embossing powder. And if you didn't guess by now, it's gold embossing powder. Okay, so there we go. That's nice. So I'm just going to set it aside for a minute. Oops. Oops, I dropped stuff all over the place. Okay, so this is my watercolor paper. And I need my Embossing Buddy for that also. And I'm going to stamp my flower and then the blessings stamp also. Okay, so my flower I'll put right here. I'm coming in from the edge of the card because remember we're going to trim off some of this. Okay, so there's my flower. And then my blessings stamp. And I'm going to put that at a little bit of an angle. Bring that in a little bit here. Sprinkle on our embossing powder. Uh-oh. I had like fingerprint smudges here, so it's good I have my brush. I can brush away. It looks like maybe little hairs were on my stamp. Brush them away. just very gently. And I see I don't have that very good. This end here, the D is not wonderful, so I'll redo the D. Oh, that's better. That's better, but it's filled in the center here. So let's just very carefully get that out of there. Get all of this off. I think I'll do that D over again. It took a little bit too much off. Got a little carried away there. I could use probably a little finer point brush. I know what I'll use. I'll use one of my skewers. Oh well, that's good enough. I'm tired of messing with that. I'll put all my embossing powder back in here. And then I'm not going to make you listen to me emboss this. So I'll be right back. Okay, so we've got that all heat embossed now. And our little part for on the inside. So now I can add my leaves on. Yeah, were you thinking I forgot them? I didn't forget them. I have a little cutout here from using the die that comes with the bundle for To a Wild Rose. And I cut this out, very thin paper. I'm going to use that as a mask. And just put that right over top of my rose that I've just embossed. And now I'll stamp my leaves on the front. I should probably, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put more of my Embossing Buddy on there. I probably blew it all away with the heat tool. Okay, so now we'll have one come out this way. And one. We're just gonna have a couple leaves peeking out here down the bottom here. We're gonna have all three of the leaves showing. There we go. And I can take this off very carefully so I don't smudge up anything. And this side. And again with the brush, I need to brush some little things away. Right there. There in the rose. I got some in the rose somehow. And that looks good. So now I can heat emboss my leaves. So this is a new stamp set that's in the new annual catalog. Oh, I put the PDF up for the catalog on my Facebook page and on my blog. So if you want to take a look at it, if you don't have a catalog already, you can see the new Stampin' Up! Annual catalog there. Figure that's the quickest and easiest way to get it to everybody who wants to see it. And I also put up a little There's a little video that Stampin' Up made that I put up there too. It's kind of cute. And it shows you some of the things that are in the new catalog. Okay. Now we've got our embossing done. I can put the embossing things out of the way. And we can get on to the really fun stuff now. We can do some watercoloring on this. Now if you want to, you could add some color on your leaves here on the inside, but I left them just the white and gold. I thought that was very elegant. And actually this, you could even do that with this part here. But what the heck, it's fun to watercolor. And I need my card base also. I added a little bit of the of watercoloring around the edge here because I just felt that the white was just too bland for the front. So we can actually do that first. I used Melon Mambo for that. And I have a little puddle of ink here going on my the lid of my stamp pad. If you need to do that, this is what you do. With the new stamp pads, you just take them and you squeeze really hard on the back side of them. If you're working with the old ones, the old style ones from Stampin' Up, squeeze on the front. So now I have it just the light pink. I'm just going to real easy go all around the edge here. We don't want to do a lot of rubbing and scrubbing on here because this is not watercolor paper. And paper that is not watercolor paper is not made to absorb huge amounts of water. It'll start to pill up and it'll just get it'll get nasty. So we just want to do that real quick and light on the edge because that's all that's going to show. Okay, so we'll bring this back in, and since I already have the Melon Mambo in on my bristles here, I'm just going to go over all the flower area with that real pale pink. And just cover that all, and it'll pre-wet my watercolor paper a little bit, because we're going to come back then with Merlot and darken up our shadows on our flower. So I want to show you. See where all these little lines are? Where they have these little lines? Those are where shadows will go. And the same on the inside here. All around this little center bit. Right in there we're going to add some Merlot. And that's about it. So let's do that. So let me get this open. Mine are still a little stiff. You see I have a very good sized puddle going here. That's because I actually used my re-inker and put a drop of ink right on there because I wanted a lot of color. If that gets on my stamp pad, that's fine because it's the Merlot ink. And if you're going to do that on several different ink pads, just be careful that you use the right ink on the right ink pad because you don't want that to get in there and mess up your muddy up your ink color. So here we go. We're just adding in the center here, any place that would be in the shadows, maybe a little bit under here. go out to the next petal here. There's one little petal here hanging out. We're going to add some water there. Merlot. I'm going to get a little bit more water going here on my brush and my pad because it's getting a little dry. I'll go around here. That little bit is totally in shadow. See, I'm running out of color. A little bit in there. Just anywhere there's shadow, that's where we're going to add this. Okay. So now we have some down. I'm going to just take one of my pieces of paper towel. I'm going to blot this. And you see that lighten that up all around here substantially. So I'm going to go back in some more, pick up some more of this, and add that in there more. Right there, that one needs a lot of shadow. Okay. I didn't get the center part quick enough, so I'm just going to go back in here. I'm going to add a little bit more of this of the Merlot and all those little sections there, and I'm just going to carefully blot that center part. So now we have, see, we have like 3 different colors going on there. Let's add a little bit in there, and out there a little bit too. Okay, so I think we can move on to our next color now. And since I don't have my little water jar like I like to have, I'm just going to clean my brush out real well on my paper towel. And it's time for our greens. And I'm using Pear Pizzaz and Mossy Meadow for my greens. So I'll start with my Pear Pizzaz. And we're going to do the same thing we did with the rose. And I'll start out just kind of putting a base color down here and getting my petals wet. Go down here, get this one, and this little bit of one here. Pick up some of the extra there. Alright, now I'll find another clean spot on my paper towel here. I'm going to blot up a little bit of the excess water. Oh, that could use a little more color on this set of leaves, huh? Okay. Give that just a little blot. And we can put our Mossy Meadow in now in the shadows. And where will the shadows be? They'll be everywhere we have when we have these veins in the leaves. It comes in like this. It'll cup in like that into the center of the leaf. So we'll just stripe right down the center there and do the same over on this one. And on this one. And you pull that color out a little bit along the smaller veins in the leaf. This one looks pretty good without doing anything at all to it. I went just a little more of that darker mossy meadow in this one. And maybe down here too. Okay, there we go. Now we're ready to do the background. And for that I used Blueberry Bliss, or Blueberry Bushel, and Night of Navy. So I'm going to start with my Blueberry Bushel. See, I've got my, this is one of the ones I put some of my, from my ink from my re-inker down. Lost my train of thought there for a minute. I was checking my water level in my brush and I'm getting low on water in there. I'm just going to get myself a whole bunch of this and just spread it out all over the card here. So this is kind of like we did with the flower and with the leaves, and get that in there real close there to the flower and the petals. And I notice it kind of the Versamark kind of acts as a resist, which I found to be interesting. And I remembered, I think I've seen people actually use it as a resist. Oh, picked up a little green there. That's alright. We'll just blend that into the background, because this is a watercolor and strange things happen with watercolors sometimes. Get that all around the flower. Spread this out. We want to get right to the edges. I'm letting it go a little bit lighter here around the blessed part. And then we just need to add some Night of Navy to this. We can set that aside and let it dry for a while. I see the one little area right here we need to get that coated. Okay. So that's it so far. Ooh. Got a little mess going there. Wipe that up because we don't need to get that someplace we don't want it later on. And we'll go with our Night of Navy. I see we're almost out of time on the video. I spent a lot of time yakking, I think. Okay. Come on, Cheryl. More painting, less yakking. And so I had my Night of Navy in here. All around the top here, top corner. Bring that down around. This really makes the flower stand out a little more. just going to dab it a little bit. That makes it look more painterly. And we'll add some in here. Around that flower. And you'll notice, I don't know if you can see this, but there's a little bit, looks a little pink right there. You know why that is? Because for some reason, some of the inks separate. And they go back into, pink and blue. So it looks like we've added another color in there when we have not. Okay, so now where I just painted, I'm going to blot that a little bit. And look, and there's even more pink there now. Fun, huh? Okay, so now I need to let this dry. So while I'm letting that dry, I'm going to go away. I'll be back, and I'm going to cut out my gold. Where did it go? Oh, it's stuck here. Look at it. It's stuck on the bottom of my Stamparatus. I'm going to cut the gold out using this this large frame here, and I'll be back. Okay, so I have my nice little frame here to that die cut out, and I'm going to do a little something more to this, and this is all ready to be trimmed down. Let's do that first. I'm using my Stampin trimmer, but there's a lot of rumors going on around these Stampin trimmers, and Stampin' Up! Has discontinued it. So, but there are rumors that they're remaking it to make it better. I don't know how true that is, but I love my Stampin' trimmer, so I hope that that's what they're going to do. We're trimming this down to 3 3/4 by, or 4 3/4 by 3 1/2. So this, I'm cutting this down. Decided to take a little bit off the top and a little bit off the bottom here. And then this one, I think I'll take all of it from this side. Let's see where that puts me when I line that up at 3 3/4. So I don't know what Stampin' Up! Is going to do. That's awfully close to my leaf here on the edge. I want a little bit of room there. I'm just going to trim a little bit off of this side. So while I do love my trimmer, I can't recommend you get one because I don't know what they're doing. They don't share that with their demonstrators, obviously. If you have one already, you can try to reorder blades, but from what I understand, as soon as they get them in, they're gone, because everybody's trying to get them. Okay, so we've got this trimmed down. I'm going to use my corner rounder and go around the corners. Ooh. This watercolor paper is very heavy. I use a 110-pound water paper, so it's very, very thick. And one more corner. I rounded the corners because I want a little bit more of that nice little fleur-de-lis design to show in the corners. Okay, so now I said I was going to do something a little bit more with this. What I'm going to do, I'm going to put this in my Stampin' trimmer. I'm just going to eyeball it. I'm going to have use my plastic thing here as kind of a guide. I'm going to line the edge up with the outside of this guy. And I'm going to just cut out the center. And just plunge that down into the paper and cut down. You use the little pointer. There's a little pointer here, so you know when you get to your other line while you're cutting. And I'm doing this because I'm cheap. I'm frugal. I like to get the most out of my crafting supplies. Now we could have just used it without the center part cut out, and it didn't cut real well. I think I need a new blade in mine. So I'll just work this out. Let me get the scissors there. I didn't get quite to the edge. But then there would be all this lovely gold paper here. Look at that. That's a nice size piece of gold paper. I can use that. I know I can use that another time. So we've got this cut out. Then I'm going to use my Tombow glue and just put Tombow around the edge here. In about 1/4 of an inch. We've got plenty of our gold paper left here. That's not going to be a problem. And I'm just going to put that on here and get that centered in there so all my lovely little pattern, my design, is showing all around the edge there. You see that? Okay, now I'm ready to put my card together. So I have my card base that we did a little bit of watercoloring on. We have the card, the sentiment for the inside here. Let's put that on. We're almost done now. And let's just center that on my card. And center this on the card front. You know, I hope if they remake their trimmer, it's not going to be one of the guillotine type ones. I know a lot of people really like those, but I have my grandson here with me quite often, and he does like to come in and help me in the craft room. So those guillotine type trimmers, they just scare the daylights out of me. So right now it's just a rumor. I don't know what they're going to do. They're not sharing with us. So I have my eye on a Fiskars one in case they don't come out with something new. And I have, let's see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these blades. They're going to keep, from what I understand, they're going to keep selling these replacement blades until September. So maybe they'll debut a new trimmer then. I don't know, but I figured this is plenty to keep me going until at least September. So, like I said, you can try to get some more. They're supposed to be going to still sell them. Right now, I understand they're selling out. As soon as those replacement blades come in, people are buying up a ton of them, and they're selling out within minutes. Like I heard 15 minutes. So anyway, our card is finished. So if there are any Stampin' Up! Products that you'd like to purchase, you can do that either through my Facebook page or my website. And you see we have two different kind of, they look a little different, don't they? And every one of them will. Yours is not going to look exactly like mine. Mine, I can do a dozen of them and they're all going to look a little bit different. Let's see, what else do I say at the end of my things? Oh, if you liked the video, hit that like button down below. If you want to see more videos, more of my videos, hit the subscribe button, and when you hit that, then a little bell will come up. And if you hit that bell, then it will, YouTube will tell you when I've posted a new video. Nice, right? So, and if you have any questions or comments, there's a little thing place for that down there too. You can leave a comment, you can ask a question. I'll also have a list of all the materials I used today down below. There's a little thing, it says show more. Hit that and it will drop down. It'll show you all the things I used in the video, and I think that's about it. I don't think I needed to discuss anything else with y'all. So y'all take care, stay safe, and happy stamping.